Hello, YouTube. Active Asshole on Pills here with another glorious rant about our frighteningly freeperish, conservative. I don't even want to call them friends. Just call them the pet dog of America. That'll work. Yep, that's Active Asshole on Pills. Kryptonite for conservatives. I'm off my pills, off my rocker, and on the warpath. Let's get to it. All right. Today, I want to talk about the whole family values garbage thrown around by the religious right, and how the economic policies they support through the power of their vote, and the belief system they've contrived over the past 40 to 50 years, 60 years, going all the way back to the late 50s with R.J. Rushdoony and others, who were credited with organizing the religious right in the post World War II era in America. I want to talk about how they have contributed to the destruction of America, to the destruction of the American family. Now, you'll often hear all of these right wing theocon religious fascists like Pat Robertson, the late Jerry Falwell, Timothy LaHaye, who is also a former John Birch Society member, the, the late Paul Weyrich, who was considered the founding father of the conservative movement in the post World War II era, Ralph Reed, one of those assholes caught in the Jack Abramoff scandal. Wow. Again, yeah, each one has their own little right-wing horror story attached to them, and guys like Roy Moore from my home state of Alabama and such. You'll often hear them foaming at the mouth, bitching and moaning, saying things like, "Oh, liberalism, modern liberalism destroyed the American family. Oh, destroyed marriages. Look at the high divorce rates. Oh, they destroyed America with their abortion and their feminism. They're destroying America. They're destroying America. They're destroying the family units." That you'll often hear them go off on these screeds, accusing everyone on the American left, the loyal opposition, of having to of being the the catalyst through which American family values have been destroyed, through which they have been denigrated, or in their own little planetoid conspiracy worlddaily.net world. But looking back, looking back, was it not the destruction of American manufacturing jobs and cheap, high paying, low skill jobs? That was it not the downsizing and the outsourcing of these jobs to China, Mexico, and other places, uh, supported in large part by anarcho-capitalists, conservatives, and American right-wing libertarians, to these cheap labor areas? And was it not the destruction of these jobs that forced the other half of the relationship to have to get a job outside the home? Back in the old days, a man, a husband, a single wage earner in the home could easily bring home enough to feed an entire family and pay the rent and all the bills, and cover all the spending, such as food and gas, and still have a little bit of money left over to burn. Back in the old days, you could do it. One man, one person, one wage earner outside the house could do it, because the gap between rich and poor was more narrow, and it didn't really require a lot to move up the socioeconomic ladder back in the period from the late 40s all the way up into the early 70s, before the Reagan Revolution set in. It didn't really require a lot, a lot of social mobility to really go from being poor or working class or middle class to being wealthy. You just have a doctor in the family, and hey, wealthy, woo, or have a small business owner in the family, and hey, look, wealthy, woo. And now today, the gap between rich and poor is greater than it's ever been. The religious right fanatics. They love to talk about how about the grinding of American family values under the boot heel of whatever imagined enemy they can snatch out of the air, usually affiliated with the other governing philosophy camp. You know, they love to blame everyone that isn't a conservative, and yet they never want to look at the fact that the economic policies that they married off to their right-wing theologies back in the 1970s out of think tanks like the Institute of Religion and Democracy and other groups, they never look at the impact that their economic policies have had on the destruction of the traditional idea of the American family. You know, it's amazing. They blame us incessantly. It doesn't matter whether you're a socialist, feminist, or whatever. They blame all of us for the destruction of American family values. They blame us for something that we for something that we really had nothing to do with. I mean, what is giving women equal pay to men somehow the equivalent of destruction of family values? How does that tie into anything? I mean, maybe in their own little planetoid, it does. I understand they have a different view of the world that's very built around hierarchy and patriarchy, and there have to be definite winners and losers, and we can't enjoy our steak unless we're making sure that someone else can't enjoy theirs. Bullshit. But seriously, how does that how does a woman or a non-Protestant, non-white man having a job of equal pay outside of the home destroy the traditional idea of an American family? And then I look at all of the double standards that the religious right have on the issues, on peripheral issues like abortion that they like to harp on about. Oh, liberalism equals abortion. Abortions are being pushed. 45 million babies have been murdered by liberals. Rrr, rrr. You know, they'll blame us for that, and that's what. And I look at the double standard they have on the issue of abortion. On the issue of abortion, the one that isn't so obvious that a lot of liberals tend to miss, the one double standard they have about how the one I'm talking about, how the model, the standard model of the American family that they always present happens to be a married Christian couple with that tends to be white with 2 children who happen to live in a red state. You know, it's amazing. You know, they talk about abortion, but they have a big double standard on the issue of ethnicity in abortion. You look at the whole pro-life thing. It's like what they're really presenting is the how should I say, the promotion of a certain demographic not having to, not having access to abortions because they see white men as the constant potential GOP voting convert. Have you ever noticed that? They very rarely actually try to use outreach in areas that tend to be Hispanic or African American, and I'm starting to think that that's because in their own little minds, they want these particular people to be aborted, but they don't want the white people to be aborted because they vote Republican. Yes, particularly in the South and other places, and places in the lower Midwest. I don't know. Maybe it's just hyperbole I'm thinking about, but I think about groups like the patriarchy movement. Yes, the Christian patriarchy movement that postulates that women that states that their goal is to put women back in the kitchen and all that. And I listen to all these rants by people from the Quiverful movement about how they want to use women's uteruses as breeding tools for creating massive numbers of potential future white right-wing voter Christians. You know, And then you look at the way that the religious right pretty much has a gridlock on adoption in this country, for in large part. That's the thing. They right after a young girl has an abortion, they'll turn around and they'll try to guilt trip the living hell out of her to get her, or right before she does. Sorry, I don't know why I said after. They'll try to guilt trip the living hell out of her to get her to go and adopt her kid out instead of getting an abortion. And then there will be at least 15 or 20 right wing theocon imbued families that are going to try their best to adopt the kid for no other reason, not because of any Christian morals, not because of any religious morality, but because they see that baby as a potential convert for their cause to be raised and brainwashed through homeschooling over the long term, a potential future vote. That's the whole point of the patriarchy movement and the quiverful movement by conservatives and the religious right, to take over America by using the women and as baby-making machines, white women from the Appalachians as baby-making machines in the future demographic, the so-called demographic wars as they see them, and as if this were some kind of a contingency plan on their part to keep the demographics in this country from becoming any less white, in the hopes of heading off the eventual Democratic majority that will probably wind up coming out of the remnants of the GOP's attempts at race baiting in the future. It's amazing. It's amazing what these asshats on the American right will fall to. The way they will hijack issues like abortion and gay marriage, and just to help them produce, guess what, more white GOP voters long term. Yeah, I think I just deviated from the entire topic, but let me get back to the topic that I was originally talking about. The GOP's hit little yes men in the religious right, like Tony Perkins and Dr. James Dobson. They constantly derail people on the left and say that we're the source of the destruction of American family values, when they themselves, by marrying off anarcho-capitalism and Milton Friedman style economics, the same ones that left much of the third world through privatization, through the so-called ownership society ideas developed in their little experiment in Chile and in Argentina under Pinochet and the junta governments down there. And they brought that home. Yeah, that's right, religious right. I know who originally coined the ownership society. That wasn't George W. Bush like you assholes think it was. It was Pinochet, a fascist dictator. but yeah, I have to give you guys. I have to. You slippery little bastards, you right wingers are. Ooh yeah, trying to push off some idea developed by a fascist dictator as some kind of idea developed by conservatives in America. But then again, the Heritage Foundation was always good at giving apologetics for Augusto Pinochet. But back to the topic. I know I deviate a lot. This video is going everywhere, but I'm the main topic. That they destroy jobs by using religion to get people to vote against their own economic interests. And then once the GOP lawmakers are in office, they make it easier for corporations to offshore jobs, offshore accounts, and all that, and outsource jobs and downsize. And then this leads to people having to this led to the other significant other having to work outside the home. And I think that their economic policy has more to do with the destruction of family values in every way across the board than anything that we on the left could possibly have done. Promoting second-generation human rights and third-generation human rights does not lead to a destruction of traditional family values. Materialism, promoting the whole, we got to have this and we got to have that thing that corporations do, that leads to greed and backstabbing and a lot of strife within families, because kids and people, children want coming up, they want all this stuff their parents can't give them because they don't have the money, but they see it on television and they want it anyway. Marrying Scotch-Irish, Southernized Protestant theology off to hardcore cutthroat capitalism, it opened a can of worms that destroyed the traditional American family. I put the onus for the destruction of the American traditional family off on the religious right. I put it off on them. They are the ones to blame for all of this. They promoted the ideas, they promoted the economic policies that led to the destruction of the close-knit ties between family members. They kept this country's culture, political culture, decentralized because they were so afraid of communism and socialism that we can't catch up to the Western Europe or Canada. Those places, they have a more centralized political and social culture that allows them to save money, allows people to stay close and such. We don't have that in America. We have a decentralized political culture because, in part, because of the religious right pushing this rugged individualism while marrying it off to a bunch of bullshit evangelical Protestantism. We have a situation where people have to commute to work for 50 miles and have to live hundreds of miles away from their family members just to be able to find work because they destroyed the economy through upheaval, through globalization, by using religion as a foot in the door to pass policies in the economic realm. Ralph Reed, Tony Perkins, and the others, they are everything. They are the ones to blame. All of these ex-John Birch Society members that turned around and joined the ranks of Jerry Falwell and Rushdoony to form the religious right. These anti-pluralist motherfuckers, these assholes, these social Darwinistic anti-Semitic retards, these holdovers from the 1300s. They push a contrived notion of the world under the premise that they're protecting traditional values in America, when in reality, everything they have done up to this point has destroyed them. Everything they have done has destroyed their own progress. And the thing is, they can talk about about small town values. They can talk about family values. In the end, they don't give shit for dick about any of these things. It's always been about capitalism and money, and that, my friend, is why you see every time you see these guys caught in a scandal from the religious right, what happens? What happens? They pull a Gary North and fly off to their Swiss bank accounts when they've been found out. It's a sham. It's always been a sham. It will always be a sham. All I have to say to all of the conservatards out there, all of you right-wing fucknuts out there who prescribe to these crazy John Hagee imbued nutjob Christian dispensationalist evangelical dominionist theologies. You sold your soul to evil when you allowed yourselves to be corralled into a religion that's been sanitized of everything in it that conflicts with your worldview of the market. You wanted to believe in capitalism. You didn't want to really believe in the religion itself. You wanted to believe in capitalism, and so you took the entire Bible, no different from what you guys accuse the socialists of doing with things like secular humanism. No different. You sanitize the entire Bible of anything that has anything to do with helping the sick and the poor, and then present the remnants, the ones that won't conflict with or contradict capitalist and right-wing conservative and libertarian philosophies. You present the remnants after you've sanitized the entire religion of the things that would challenge the altar of the dollar as the true religion. It's like Lewis Sinclair once said: fascism, when it comes to America, it will be wrapped in a flag and it will be carrying a cross. And you've presented yourselves as the through disinformation, you've presented you people on the right. You presented yourselves as the saviors of these things, but what you've really been doing the whole time is taking an axe to both traditional family values by making it where the wife has to work outside the home in order to bring in a second income, because you assholes decided to destroy our entire manufacturing base for the sake of money by sending all the jobs to every other low wage, cheap wage labor pool that you could find across the planet through globalization, upheaval, and such and so forth. You destroy our lives and then claim that we're suffering because we lost God's favor because of the destruction of family values. When you destroyed the traditional family values yourselves through this act of marrying capitalism to religious dogma after you've sanitized the religious scripture. You're evil. That's all I can say about it. You're fucking evil. You're fruiting up. You're evil. You're fucking crazy. And to be honest, I haven't seen a Southern Baptist or Pentecostal pastor yet who didn't have his hands down some young boy's pants. You're no better than the Catholics on that front. So don't even, yeah. Kiss my ass, every damn one of you right-wing troll fucks out there. Every damn one of you right-wing Republican pieces of human garbage. You push anti-pluralism. You use these divisive politics. You rob us of our future. You destroy second-generation human rights. You take an axe to traditional communitarian values in this country, not just traditional family values, but communitarian values as well. And you leave us high and dry with no financial tax base from which to create a democratized financial, core from which to build from. I'm starting to think that even if we do something to finally derail you jackasses down the road, I'm starting to believe that there's no way we are ever going to really accomplish the dream of building a country that can truly produce communitarian values and protect them as a vanguard for the rest of the world and espouse second generation human rights. I'm starting to believe that even in the event that we manage to whoop you guys, you've done so much damage by starving the beast through this garbage that we have no tax base to fix anything, because you won't let us raise taxes on the rich. We have no tax base because you allowed outsourcing to keep rich people from having to pay taxes on assets, like your little yes man Romney did and all that shit. You starve the beast, and then you deliberately make it where we can't fix anything even when we do win. It doesn't help us when we have the keys to the castle, when you assholes, even when we win, you assholes continue to keep the combination to the safe. And this, my friends, is the reason why it will take generations for us to fix everything, even in the event that we do have a political realignment which brings us back to sanity in this country. The damage has been too great since the beginning of the Reagan Revolution. It will take us untold decades to fix the garbage. When the American right and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Lewis Powell and all them got together and cobbled together the conservative think tank infrastructure and their long-term plan emphasizing organization around block grants and money grants from sympathetic billionaires like the Koch brothers and the Coors family and such. When they got together in 1972 and organized the post-World War II corporate right in its strongest form, they had an 80-year plan. But I don't see some comparable 80-year plan coming from people on the left. All I see are people who think that a single election cycle or 2 election cycles are going to fix everything. That will never work. I'm sorry. You can't fix 50 years of damage through one single election cycle, through one victory. 2006 and 2008 didn't fix anything any more than the next few Democratic victories will fix anything. We need a political realignment that that will be sustainable, that will keep Republicans out of the House and the Senate and the presidency and many of the state houses, most of the state houses, governorships, for a sustained number of years. We're talking political dominance by the Democratic Party, at the very least the Democratic Party, progressive caucus, for at least 30 to 40 years to fix everything. All right, I think I said enough on this one, and yeah, I keep deviating from the topic of the religious right destroying America and everything, but of traditional American values and such, but and then blaming feminism and gay marriage and abortion and things for that as scapegoats. But you know, it's just that so many of these parts of the religious right's game plan, both the religious right and the anarcho-capitalist right and such, all of these parts are so interwoven and married together. They reinforce each other. They're like 5 or 6 pieces of wood stacked like a pyramid. They just they uphold each other. Even when you sufficiently bash one part of it, the rest of it props it up. Oh well. Again, there's my rant.